Picks and Bets, presented by Prize Picks here on the Mayo Media Network. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell to take you through April 20th NHL betting action. Fantasy, betting, everything we got to hear. DJ, how you doing, my man?
Doing good. We got fantasy betting. Are you sure?
Fantasy betting.
I'm the Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bet Show, brought to you by Prize Picks, and they're saying there might be betting involved. All right, blow
and
my
fantasy
mind.
Betting and fantasy.
Blow my mind, will you? So yeah, no, this is exciting. We have 8 games, 7 for the main DFS slate, I'm pretty excited. I think that there could be some edges to get in on. I really think that the DraftKings FanDuel slate's really where the most fun's going to be, because there's so many value options that you can kind of fit in everything. But there's some props we'll get to, and some interesting news and notes since the last time out. So Matt, how are you doing? What are you thinking? Start it off here.
I mean, I'm doing well. Monday nights left a little bit to be desired. Not my best showing, not Connor McDavid's best showing, certainly either. So, Monday was a bit upsetting, but I had a good weekend, back at the grind on Monday, and Tuesday, just looking for more of the same. So before we get into the slate, the games ahead of us, I do want to mention Prize Picks. As longtime listeners of the show do know, they're the title sponsor of the show, and we would love for you to go check them out. Prizepicks.com, and use promo code MMN, as in Mayo Media Network, when you sign up. And really, the reason we want you to sign up is because it's really fun. You pick up to 5, player props, the over or under on each of those players. And if you get it right, you can win up to 10 extra money. It's really simple. You're not playing against the computer generated algorithms of the DFS sharks. You're just playing against a number. And that's what I really find appealing about it. So for hockey, as a reminder, you get 3 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist, and a half point for a block shot and a shot on goal. So what you're really looking for is you're looking for the rate shooters, and you're looking for players on teams who you think are going to score a lot of goals. So really, that's as simple as it gets. Feel free to check out the Mayo Media Network Twitter if you want our specific thoughts on the Prize Picks NHL Tuesday action. We will get that up there as soon as we're able to. So with all that said, be sure to use promo code MMN when you sign up at prizepicks.com, and let's get into things. So DJ, I know this is a special week for most of us because, we talk about betting, we talk about DFS on this show. We kind of let Meanie and the boys cover the seasonal aspect of it because, honestly, the season long, it's just below us. That's really all we can say. Like it's just simply below our pay grade. But this is playoff season. Like we're in the seasonal playoffs. DJ, I know we're in a dynasty league together, not with the same team, but we compete against one another. Yep. We're in leagues everywhere. We just don't really talk about them as much as, Meanie and them do. But this is where the rubber hits the road. So I do think this is a great spot to sort of start talking about, ad drops, the sort of players that you think could take you to your next round in the playoffs. So let's talk about a couple of those guys before we go game by game here. So who on Tuesday do you think sort of fits that mold?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the easiest way of doing it, especially if you play DFS, is just to think about the guys that you're considering putting in your lineups every night at this point, and the guys that you're finding that you're thinking like, wow, this seems like a really good, cheaper option. Maybe I should consider picking him up. It kind of seems to be pretty easy. So, if you're looking at just the guys on Tuesday's slate, there's kind of 2 that jump out. If you could still get Nikita Gusev in the league, which I think he's decently getting picked up at this point by a lot of people because he's playing with Barkov and on the first power play. But I just give it a quick look, especially if you're not in a super high stakes league or like we mentioned, we're in a dynasty league. So a lot of these guys are pretty big rosters, stuff like that. But Gusev, Jimmy Vesey was the other one I wanted to talk about, especially with Pettersson. We don't really know what's going on with him. He actually played 22 minutes on the first line and first power play, minimum salary on DraftKings on Tuesday as well. Like I mentioned, he's not the best rate shooter, but if you're playing 22 minutes with Miller and Besser, you could definitely hit a smash tonight with multiple points, and that's going to be just as valuable in any fantasy league in the playoffs. Matt, anyone that you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, of course, if you can find these big name players on the waiver wire for whatever reason, you probably do want to take a crack at them. But if you're looking for guys specific to Tuesday night who, could be, should be owned or available in most of these leagues, One guy who stands out to me is Sharon Govich. DJ, I won't ask you to pronounce that. On New Jersey, he's playing with Jack Hughes though on the I would call it the top line and the top power play. Seeing a lot of run. He's generating a lot of shot attempts. So I think he's the sort of guy who can fill multiple categories for you. And if he's out there, I think you are certainly able to take a look at him. And then a defenseman who honestly he's more. I should say he's more unowned. I don't even know he's less owned than I would expect. Jacob Slavin, he's playing all the minutes right now for Carolina. He's shooting a ton. And of course he's out there, empty net situations, power play, penalty kill. Like he does it all right now and he's shooting a ton. So Jacob Slavin's a guy who I think is also, pretty out there. So I don't know, DJ, if you had anyone else or if you want to get into things, but
I think it was going to kind of be the segue into the first game, but Buffalo is pretty much exclusively riding Dustin Tokarski right now for the reason of they have no other goalie, and shocks the world and actually has been really good. So he had like a .922 save percentage and Buffalo won a couple games over the past week. I wore my Sam Reinhart jersey because Sam Reinhart decided to just destroy on Sunday. But Dustin Tokarski, if you're looking for a guy that if your goalies are weak or if you just want to pick up one more guy to give you a chance that's going to get a ton of starts in the playoffs, I think there's not going to be many goalies that are going to see the start upside at Dustin Tokarski. So with that being said, we don't know if he's going to start yet on this Tuesday slate, but we'll get right into it. Buffalo, the heavy underdog at home against the Boston Bruins. Boston a -286, while Buffalo is a +235. Obviously, the big news, Buffalo's looked pretty good as of late to, I would say, like at least NHL quality as compared to before when they were an absolute burning pile of dumpster. Just multiple dumpsters all on fire at once is what I was going with. And this matchup, though, still is pretty bad because Boston's also looked quite a bit better. And Boston, kind of trying to cement that last playoff spot in the East. So just as a overarching view, what are your thoughts on this game in general? And the 5.5 over under, where are you standing right now?
Yeah, I get that Boston is sort of rounding in the form and they sort of, beat up on Washington on Sunday. But frankly, I just don't really think the Sabres should be +235 at home the way they're playing. And, Tokarski does scare me because of course it's freaking Dustin Tokarski. But honestly, the Sabres look really good. What are they? They're 6-5-2 under Granato. Like they're an actual NHL team, like you said. So that to me says value. I don't know if I'm willing to, lay my hard-earned dollars on the Sabres, but I'm certainly not willing to lay them at -285 on Boston. So the sides I think are a stay away. And as far as the over-under is concerned, I do think I am leaning toward the over, but nothing incredibly strong there. This does feel like a, Taylor Hall type explosion night, because Hall's looked really good in Boston. And of course, he looked good in Buffalo for a while too, and just wasn't getting results. But the results are there. So I don't know if I'm willing to lay the +175 goal scoring odds, but the shot props, I know something that Meany talked about because I think he had the Boston slates last week was, Taylor Hall has been getting there, when he's been on the ice, he's been shooting. So even before the trade. So I think even if the goals don't come, the shots certainly should. So I do like Taylor Hall just sort of from the player perspective. And also, of course, the great narrative there because nothing makes, Sabres fans more sad right now than mentions of Taylor Hall. So, and what could have been. So I don't know. DJ, you did mention Sam Reinhart having an incredible Sunday. 2 goals there. Does he keep that going?
Maybe.
Plus 275 for their best goal scorer, maybe.
Yeah,
to score.
That's fair. That's fair. What I was going to quickly touch on is that in the past 2 games, shot attempts against Buffalo, both against Pittsburgh, against Dustin Tokarski, 41 and 36. So you could definitely convince me on a lot of shot prop overs. Like I still think they're going to give up more than 30 shots for sure. So any of these Boston shot prop overs that you like, just quickly put that out there again. But yeah, no, on the Sabres, you have to get down to Victor Olofsson at +255 before you find even a single Sabre. I think Reinhardt's a little bit more likely to score. I don't personally want to bet on him here. I don't really think it's good enough to, how many games is Reinhart going to score in? I don't think it's the best line in the world. It's fine. I still like the Tage Thompson one a bit more. Him and Middlestead have been absolutely on fire, and he's plus 460. Like, I think that he's decently, minorly less likely than Reinhart to score. It's not even crazy to me. I guess the power play usage, you could talk me into it, but other than that, I don't think there's a ton of meat on the bone here as far as betting is concerned. The odds they're super in favor of all the Boston guys getting points and, all that stuff. And Buffalo guys are way less likely. So if you get one Buffalo guy that you really, really like, I think it's worth looking into, but I'm not going to prioritize it by any means. I like the shot props here for guys on Boston, and that's probably going to be what I'm going to grab from this game.
Yeah. The last thing I just wanted to mention was we really saw the absolute ceiling from Rasmus Dahlin on Sunday. Yep. Just an incredible game. I think he had 2 assists and 8 shots on goal. I guess that's also another guy, if you're, especially in a single season, fantasy league, I bet some people cut bait on Rasmus Dahlin because he just did nothing and really hurt you plus minus wise. But the way he's played for the last few weeks, I think he's definitely a guy who you should consider, any sort of format. His shot prop seems very tasty. It'll be right around even money. And I think that's a real good bet. Just because he looks great, Casey Middlestat looks great. And that's really sort of the reason that the Sabres have looked so good. It's that their young guys are actually coming through. So that's enough there, though. I do think, I like your thoughts on the overs, just on shot props in general, because of how many shot attempts the Sabres should give up. So we can move on to the 7:00 games. We will get things started with New Jersey at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh at home minus 265 favorites. So monster favorites there. Plus 215 on the Devils side. We did see the Devils blow 4 straight games at home against the Rangers in pretty entertaining fashion. I think there was one dud of a shutout there, but otherwise those games are pretty up tempo.
Oh, there's 2.
Were there 2? Okay, but otherwise the game on Sunday was actually a really fun game to watch. So I don't know. I don't feel like New Jersey is chippy enough to really make me, feel like betting 215 is a good number. But how do you feel about this Pittsburgh side? Do you think they take care of business here on their march toward the playoffs?
I like the Pittsburgh side a lot. I mean, Shesterkin had the back-to-back shutouts against. But both against the Devils. It was like the road at home back-to-back. And in one of those games, the Devils only had 16 shots.
Ouch.
So, I guess that's kind of my hesitation on like jamming the over here, because I really like the Penguins to find some goals. I think there's a pretty big disparity in goaltending between Jari and DeSmith. So DeSmith is actually, like, as of late before that Sabres loss, he's looked decently comparable. Jari, I think a decent bit better, but like if you look at like the metrics, actually they've been somewhat even. Maybe I could talk myself into the over, though. I think Jari's a bit better of a goalie in general, but I'm kind of thinking the Devils don't really have enough left in the tank to make me strong on it, as I think that like the data is going to say like this over seems pretty sharp. I'm probably not touching the money line either. I think the Penguins are, a good favorite here, but taking a minus 265 is just it's weak sauce, not for me. I'd rather get some props and stuff and just try to have fun with this game. We have seen a bit back to form with Brian Rust as of late, but not enough for me to bet on this shot on goal prop. I love Gensel here. I'm going to be really high on it in any capacity. His to score prop is sadly just plus 102. Probably not going to do that. I'd rather just get a shot on goal prop and maybe a multi-point game. So if you can get him at 2 points or something like that, I think that's a lot of fun, because I think Pittsburgh 1 is really, really strong. One of my favorite stacks of the night for sure. Letang has also been actually like really, really good, maybe under the radar good. I know, Matt, you were, singing his Norris praises. If you could somehow find him at 2 shots on goal and at decent odds, that is, I think, also just a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, he's had multiple shots in 8 straight games now. Chris Letang has. I don't think I'm as in on Rust and Gensel as I am on Sid and Letang. And obviously Gensel does have that trigger man vibe going right now. So maybe that's a mistake on my part. Last time these two teams played, Gensel had a freaking hat trick. So, it's not crazy to say Gensel's a great play here. I do think that Sidney Crosby is slightly more likely to make my lineups personally. And I do think if I'm looking to pair him, obviously Letang and Rust make a lot of sense, or Gensel and Rust make a lot of sense, but Letang is honestly one of my favorite defensemen on this whole slate. So that's where I think I'm looking, shot prop wise at Sidney Crosby. On the Devils side, though, I mean, Jack Hughes, DJ, you called this like a month ago, and then he sort of stopped for a while, but now he's back. Like Jack Hughes is back, just firing from absolutely everywhere. 5 shots, six shots on goal his last 2 games. Like, I mean, what are you seeing from him? Do you think he's a guy that you're looking to get in some overs on this slate in particular?
Yeah, I think I'd only touch the shot on goal prop for him just because of and I know I say Sharangovich's name right every time, but him playing with Sharangovich and Kokanen, they're just not putting. Say it.
Cocaine man.
Kokanen, right?
Quackinen. Yeah, Quackinen. Well, like as long as you get the U in there, don't just call him Cocaine man. I think we're okay.
I didn't call him that. All right, yeah, but you're putting some real bad talent around him, which is what really hurts his upside as like a point producer and or a goal scorer. So I'd rather just get his shot on goal prop because he is shooting from everywhere, and I think he's going to continue that. But yeah, I'm not that interested in the Devils. I'm not touching like anything besides that shot on goal prop for the Devils. Everything else is really fragile and very likely to just stay out of my betting in general.
Let's go from there over to this Rangers Islanders game because we're seeing a ton of respect come in for this Rangers side as of late. And frankly, they've earned it. It's not crazy to say when you put up the results they have that they've earned it. But on the road, plus 108 going against this Islanders team that, they shut out the Flyers for 60 minutes. And I know that's not that impressive, but the Islanders, they're one of the best teams in their division, of course. And the Rangers are priced right up there alongside them. So I don't know if you had any just thoughts on that, like right off the top or what, but what are your thoughts on this game?
I really want to see the Islanders because I think that's like what is more than likely the result, but the Rangers have been really freaking good. I still think the Islanders are more than likely at home going to get the W here. They'll find a way to hopefully slow down these top 2 lines of the Rangers and get the win. Shesterkin, though, he has just been on another level. I think he won the NHL first start of the week. It's going to be, I really more than likely, I'm just not going to bet this game because I do think it's going to be like a 2-1, one bounce of the puck's going to get it done. And on the other side for the Islanders, Sorokin just had the 30 save shutout. It's such a strong goalie matchup, and the goalies have been playing so good as of late that it is just an under bet for me for sure. Like that's where I'd start with this, and then I very slightly like the Islanders to get the lucky bounce to get the win here. But more than that, I think you could kind of just talk me into getting a little bit of Panarin action going. Plus 195 to score isn't the best or the worst, but he has just been so incredibly good and just doesn't seem to quite get the respect that I think he deserves in that respect. 52 points in 34 games, and they're just not really pricing that into consideration here, I guess because of the Islanders.
Yeah, I mean, so one macro level note that I just wanted to call out, like an awesome website, especially if you guys are listening to this while you're at work or whatever. Obviously, don't do this while you're driving. But inpredictable.com basically is it's a site that does many things, but one thing it does is it tracks betting lines and basically makes power rankings of the NHL based on those betting lines. So it's able to say against the average team, this team, is better or worse than them. Right now, based on the betting lines that are being posted, the Rangers are the 3rd best team in the East Division. 1 spot better than the Islanders and 2 spots better than Washington. Now you can, argue with that, but that's the sharpest money in the world there going into these books, the bookmakers. Like this isn't just some random schlub, putting out his power rankings. Like this is people putting their hard-earned money at work. And they're flat out saying that over the past week, the Rangers have risen from fifth, where they sort of floated in round fourth, all the way up to third now. So this price is definitely reflective of that, of course. But I'm okay taking a stab at plus 108 here on the Rangers. You look at some of the underlying numbers in the matchups prior to this between these two teams, and the Rangers have dominated territorially, mostly through strong defense. Now, of course, that has to result in strong goaltending, but they've been getting that. I don't really trust the Islanders with Barry Trotz out here saying like, oh, well, I'm going to play Leo Komarov as much as I want because this isn't fantasy hockey. And it's like, okay, sure, that works against the Flyers when they can't score a goal to save their lives. But against Artemi Panarin playing at the peak of his powers, like I think you're going to need some goals there, buddy. And I just don't trust this Islanders team to make it happen. So give me the Rangers plus 108 here to pull off the slight upset.
All right, I think that's fair. Is there any other news or notes you wanted to get to before we get over to the Carolina-Tampa game?
Nothing immediately jumps to mind. I mean, we mentioned Leo Komarov. Also, Travis Zajac has been on the top line for whatever reason. So that's I guess relevant for DFS purposes, but frankly, I'm not that interested in chasing any of these because Barry Trotz is going to do his thing where he just plays whoever he wants, whenever he wants, and people are going to still claim he's the best coach in the league or whatever because his goalies make a ton of saves and his system just shuts down the game to a crawl. Like I don't care how good your system is, if it makes me want to throw up watching you, I'm not a big fan. So all right, we can move on though if you had nothing else.
No, not really. I don't think it's a stay away game for me. Like I mentioned, like I like the under here, but I just don't think there's one individual player prop that I'm overly bullish on compared to the rest. So I'm okay with moving over to Carolina at Tampa, a game that I really like DFS wise. I think you also share that sentiment of getting pieces from this in many capacities. A couple news and notes we should definitely get to. But I think that we should probably just get right away started with who do we like in this playoff atmosphere type of game. Tampa, just a very slight favorite at home against Carolina, a rematch from Monday night when I have to look at my phone. Who ended up winning the game? I can't even think of it.
Tampa won in overtime. Yanni Gourde.
Tampa won in overtime. Yep, Yanni Gourde. Okay, I was gonna say I feel like we just started recording when that game was going to overtime, and I'm trying to remember. So what are your thoughts? Initial thoughts here on this game?
I mean, my initial thoughts is over 5.5. I really like it. We're not going to get Vasilevsky in goal to bail out Tampa. I think. I mean, God, if they run, if they run out McElhinney twice, there's no way they can do that, right? Or if they run out Vasilevsky twice, there's no way they can do that. So I think they do have to start McElhinney here. We don't see quite the drop off from Carolina's goalies. They've all played pretty well this year, so I really like Carolina. But I think I like the over more than I like the Carolina side. I'll probably end up having some action on both, but I would prefer the over just in general because these teams play with a ton of pace, and Vasilevsky's just been incredible, and that's really the reason that Tampa's been winning so much. They've been getting shelled basically and giving up a lot of shots. I just don't think McElhinney will be there to save them, and so I think that this game.
Do you know what McElhinney's save percentage is?
Oh God, is it like 895? Maybe
lower.
Oh wow. Oh geez, is it? It's not Carter Hart bad, is it?
It is.
Oh God.
862.
Oh my. Oh.
It's really freaking bad, man. Like they are so he's 3-5-1 on Tampa. Like that's his record. Like his record is 3-5-1.
That's tough to do. What is Dustin Tokarski's record?
I think it's somewhat close to that. I'll look it up really quick, but that's because he had the disadvantage of playing when the Sabres were not even trying. Dustin Tokarski's record is 2-5-2, so just a hair above a guy that hadn't had a win in 4 years or something ridiculous. His yeesh. We gotta figure that out. Dustin Tokarski hadn't had a win since the 2015-2016 season in the NHL before getting the win for Buffalo, and his save percentage is substantially better.
So the player props in this game I think are exactly what you would expect for the most part. Andrei Svechnikov Contrary to popular belief, we've actually managed to go a week with Andrei Svechnikov not completely burning us in this regard.
Yep.
He's hit 3
He's
shots,
back.
I think, in each of his last 4 games now. He's scoring goals. He's back to doing the goal thing that Svechnikov does. And yeah, I mean, we've already given the argument on the Tampa side of why they're going to allow goals. So let Andrei Svechnikov be the guy who scores those goals. I think I think he's my favorite player in general. Plus 240 to score. Like, he's the main guy here, and he's below Nino Niederreiter. Like, I love Nino. Like, don't get me wrong, but that's just not right. Playing with Aho at 5-on-5, like, Svechnikov is just, I think, in a smash spot here. One guy on the Tampa side to, just keep in mind, Alex Barré-Boulet. He's sort of billed as a Carter Verhaeghe type player. Also a similar, Verhaeghe was compared to Jonathan Marchessault. So a very similar type mold, a guy who dominated the AHL in terms of, just putting up real strong shot numbers, not elite, but good enough. And Barré-Boulet has come into the NHL now playing on the top line with Palat and Point and on the top power play. So he's got Victor Hedman feeding him. So I really like him. It's mostly a DFS thing, though, because he's not really done a ton with the opportunity to this point. And DFS are getting him at a bargain price. I think the betting lines aren't quite there for him, but just I think a guy who is in a smash spot DFS-wise. So anything else from this game that you wanted to cover?
No, just the over, pretty heavy on that.
Oh, yeah.
And then we can move on to another rematch from Monday night, Columbus at Florida. Florida getting the win, Vetrano smashing on the DFS streets. We're going to potentially, it sounds like, get the first ever NHL start for Spencer Knight, the top goalie prospect, I would say almost indefinitely coming into the league. So that should be fun and interesting.
Can I say the best goalie prospects in Carter Hart? is that fair to say on this show?
No.
Or does that get me booed off stage? Okay.
Don't disrespect my boy. You don't go beat Canada in the World Juniors, Matt, and then get that kind of disrespect on my podcast. I will not besmirch the great name of the World Junior winning goalie in Spencer Knight.
I rescind my previous statement.
Thank you. So I think the first note is Gusev. Like, that's the guy I want to talk about here. And who else is he going to play with at 5-on-5 and power play 1, Matt?
It's freaking Barkov. Like, he's real good. He's real good, guys. Don't know if you guys knew that, but Barkov is just elite. Playing incredible hockey right now. So yeah, Barkov is the guy that I want great exposure to. Gusev is just, you can't draw up a better spot for a guy to land, and he's landed there. He's not done a ton with it. I think he has 1 assist in his stint with the Panthers. But he's got 3 shots in each of his games so far. Like, he's gonna break out, I think, sooner rather than later. And don't be the one who looks at the game log to say, like, oh, well, he's not scoring, so I don't want a piece. Like, I don't think that's what you do. I think you keep going until the role changes, because it's been a while since we've had reliable, forwards on the Florida side. Like, of course, Barkov was playing with Duclair for a while, and Verhaeghe, and that sort of shuffled around, and then it was Marchment, and then that shuffled around, and then Duclair came back, and what do you know? Now it's Gusev coming in, and it seems like he's going to stick. So I really like that, and I love that angle, and just getting as much Gusev as possible.
And on top of everything, it looks like Korpisalo will be in net. I'm nearly positive he's been pulled in 2 of his last 3 games. I know he was pulled against Tampa, and then he had 16 saves and 12 saves and 16 shots against Dallas. So I assume he got pulled there as well. So 2 of his last 3 starts. I have to double check the Dallas one. There's almost no way.
I started him that night.
Okay, yeah. Oh, nice.
He was my DFS goalie. Yeah.
So I'm nearly positive, but unless it fails. But anyways, though, so 2 of his last 3 starts he's been pulled in. So if you like Florida, they started versus Lincoln's on Monday. So I can't imagine, like you said, with McElhinney going in for Tampa, kind of a similar situation. Yeah. Maybe one of them finds the net, but I kind of doubt it. So I definitely like Florida here. I like getting pieces of Barkov. His 5-on-5 line mates, as we already mentioned, was Gusev, and it was Marchment, back to Marchment there. So unless if Verhaeghe somehow gets in, which it sounds like he definitely won't, we should
So on the Columbus side, I mean, we don't have clarity on the situation just yet, but on Monday, Max Domi was a healthy scratch. Um, that's kind of funny if you follow the saga of Max Domi. He takes two ridiculous misconduct penalties, and today he sat because of it. And when he's not playing, that just concentrates thing around guys like Jack Roslovic at center and Texier. And they also kind of optimize their power play. So, it's a tough matchup, but you see their first power play rolling out, Roslovic, Line, Atkinson, Bjorkstrand, and Seth Jones. And you're like, hey, those are the five best guys to do those jobs. And I think that there's an argument that the over here is very much in play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sullivan Knight, just make it in play. They put it in play for you.
Yeah. I want to be first on the Spencer Knight train, whatever else. But it's a goalie. Anything can happen. And just, I don't know. I like this Columbus team offensively, now that they're sort of using their guys in less confusing ways. And we'll see if that changes because Torts, but right now they're seeing a ton of minutes and I think that they could break out here. So, all right. Anything else there?
I guess as far as a real long shot one, Michael Del Sado has been playing 1 million minutes. He's plus 1,000 to score. I'm not sure if I'm going to, bet a second mortgage on it or something. But you get a guy playing this many minutes that
on
has
the
some pedigree.
Second power play. Yeah.
Second power play has some decent pedigree for shooting. I mean, if you look through his game logs, you'll see some 5-shot on goal games. I see no reason to not consider the idea of saying, you know what, if I lay $10 down on this, he has 4 goals on the year, he gets that fifth. He gets that fifth against Spencer Knight.
Yeah,
who has not taken an NHL shot in a game ever.
He's Delzato stepped right into the Zach Werenski role, and that's what he's playing right now. Obviously, he's not quite the player Werenski is, but he's playing power play time. It's certainly fine. I don't think that's the craziest thing you've ever done. So, all right, let's go from there into Detroit at Dallas. Another rematch of Monday night matchup. Dallas won this one in a shootout. Dallas finally getting it done in extra time, I guess, is a positive development for them. Minus 220 here. It seems like we'll have Ottinger versus Bernier in net. So maybe a slight advantage to Detroit there. But I don't know. I sort of like the argument that Detroit is playing some decent hockey right now, sort of like the Sabres, honestly. Though on the road, I don't know if I want to lay, plus 185 on them. So any way that you could be convinced to bet on the Detroit side here. And how do you feel about the under? This game feels like a solid under to me, even, I don't know.
It's the under. It's just the under. Definitely. I don't know why you'd want to. I've said it before. I'm not putting my money on Detroit. Just won't do it. So under is minus 132. Just take that. That's fine. Especially at Bernier. Bernier has played himself into he's definitely going to get a contract with a good team next year type of situation. So good on him. I think he could continue it.
If only there were a team with a high profile goalie leaving next year, maybe up in Toronto. I don't know. That could be fun. Jonathan Bernier to Toronto, right?
Bring him back. Back.
Nothing bad's ever happened there,
right? Anyways, so yeah, under for sure here. And then I definitely don't mind getting any of this Rube Hintz. If he's in, you know what? I'm just going to take him to score. He's too good for 230. That just doesn't add up to me. He scored, right? Did he? Yeah,
he did on the power play.
Yeah. 35 points in 31 games. I guess, it might be fun to do $20 on Hintz and then $20 on Robertson, who I guess is maybe marginally more likely to score, but I think one of these guys definitely puts one home. It's just not priced correctly. The other, I guess, news is that Vrana is sick and did not play, and it's, I would say, very unlikely that he plays on Tuesday night. Fabry is out. Detroit is really missing some guys. So is there anyone that, in DFS wise, that you're even considering, maybe an Evgeny Svechnikov or someone. I don't know if there's anyone that you were.
Mm.
There's so much value that it might not be worth it, but I just thought
that's the thing. There's so much value on this slate in general that I don't think it's necessary. Because even a guy like Philip Zadina has been priced up now. Like he's been shooting a ton, riding shotgun with Larkin, but he's not worth his salary on this slate when there's just so many options that are basically dead minimum. If you need a complete flyer, though, the one guy that is still relatively cheap, seeing a nice role is Sam Gagner. But I don't think this is the slate to deploy a guy like him. Maybe the turbo slates or whatever, if you want to do those, have at it. But I think this would be a late slate, I guess, 8:30, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Maybe you could see an argument there. But let's segue on to, we've already mentioned him earlier today, but we do have a game with Toronto and Vancouver that has a ton of value projected. So there's actually a lot to get to as well, because obviously we know Vancouver's situation. It seems like everyone who played minus Alex Edler, who was suspended, will be available on Tuesday. I don't believe we've heard anything on a guy like Nate Schmidt, nothing on Elias Pettersson, who is out long term now. We don't really know when he'll be back. So the Vancouver side, we have some value. We also have Toronto value because William Nylander, after basically putting on some of the best run of hockey he's had in a while, decided to sleep in. I'm guessing he missed his alarm, missed the team meeting. He's going to be scratched on Tuesday. So, consequences there for not showing up. In addition to him, though, Zach Hyman took that knee-to-knee hit, which got Edler suspended. He's out for at least a couple weeks. Honestly, dodged a bullet there. The hit looked gruesome.
Yeah.
And also, Ilya Mikheyev is likely out in this one as well. So where do we even start? Like, there's just so much value here. How does it make you feel, though, about this Toronto minus 305, considering they just blew a game, just blew this exact same game on Sunday night? Vancouver plus 250, like over under 6. What are your thoughts on the game in general? And what are some of the specific spots we can, look to benefit from a player prop and DFS standpoint?
Yeah, I think Toronto, obviously the heavy favorite here. I like them in this matchup to win. I'm not betting minus 305. I like the over for multiple reasons. I think the biggest one that I know you mentioned on the Morning Skate pod is that, losing Mikheyev and Hyman, obviously those are guys that have some offensive upside, but their defensive metrics are also really, really good. So Vancouver, I think, is a bit of a boost, obviously by two decent to good NHL players coming out, but those guys do actually fit a pretty good defensive role. So I think that this game has a huge upside potential for the over, and daily fantasy. I'm going to have a ton of action on Nick Robertson, a guy that averaged over 5.5 shots on goal in the OHL. I think he has a really good profile to be a rate shooter that we're not going to see at prices like this again once he finds his role. He played with Tavares last game and Hyman. Obviously that won't stick because Hyman isn't going to be there. So we'll see exactly what happens. I kind of doubt they break up the Galchenyuk, Marner, Matthews line, but I also doubt that they break up Tavares and Robertson. So I guess the other big note is who's going to take that William Nylander first power play spot. Hopefully we find out in Morning Skate, maybe they'll actually run a practice because they're, kind of got to figure out what they're going to do there. We'll figure out who it is, and that guy's going to just instantly be in play, whether it be a guy like Thornton or Simmons, or if it is a guy like Robertson, that he could be even more of a smash play. Mm-hmm. So I was hoping to get his to score odds a little bit better, but plus 260 is, I don't know if it's worth it. Like Besser's right there at 230, going to get way more minutes. And then the guy that we talked about at the beginning, Jimmy Vesey at plus 420 on 420. I think that is also worth the bet, because you're talking about a guy at first power play, first line with I'd say a decently elite playmaker in JT Miller. So covered a lot there, Matt. Is there anything you wanted to get to?
I will just second your thoughts on a guy like Nick Robertson. That doesn't really need much more explaining. I think the Jimmy Vesey one's real interesting because while I'm not a huge JT Miller guy, I do have a lot of time for Brock Besser, especially against the Leafs. He had 6 shot attempts the first game back, led the team in shots I guess, shot attempts. Had 3 shots on goal. Like, I think I will find his shot prop, and I imagine it'll be, we don't have it quite yet, but somewhere in the neighborhood of minus, 140-ish. And I am very happy to take the over there. I think that he, looked incredibly engaged. I think, Jimmy VC and DFS is a great guy to stack along with it. And, the narrative, the 420 on 420, like, why not, why not light it up here? And,
oh boy,
get some good odds there.
Yep. Thank you for making the joke, Matt. We needed to hear it. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in this game, or are you ready for the last game of the night? The big one. The playoff implications are just sky high in the Anaheim LA match. Are you ready to get to it though?
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, let's do it. So Anaheim plus 120 on the road, LA minus 139 favorites. I'm decidedly on Team LA here. I'm a big fan of Kopitar on this slate. Even it's a little thin, just given the pricing and whatever else, which is why I think you can, make it work in tournaments. But yeah, I mean, I'm in on LA here. I kind of lean toward the over, which is strange in an Anaheim LA game to be like, oh yeah, there'll be a lot of offense. But both teams have been perfectly okay offensively lately. So, they just got to finish their chances. And we certainly know that despite John Gibson, Anaheim can give up goals in bushels. So I think that this game goes over, and I like the LA side.
All right. Well, obviously you're not tracking this Anthony Stolarz just dominance. So you're missing out on 943 Anthony Stolarz save percentage. I mean, you're really just going to bet against that right now?
Where do you get the "as"? Like, it's like a
Stolarz.
Hispanic Stolarz, Anthony Stolarz. Like, you said, like Stolarz. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like Gutierrez.
He moved out to California and he adopted a little bit of the Mexican flair. I mean, just let me have this one. Okay, actually, as soon as you said Stolarz, I was like, oh my God, that is totally how you say it. Like, wow, great job. But I mean, that's the only reason that, like, you get a hot goalie, like the wheels are eventually going to come off. I don't think you need to fit it in. And the reason why I say more than just the goalie being hot, and I know it's, he's never going to keep a 943 save percentage over the course of a longer period of time. But I mean, like, how many players in this game are legitimate high-end quality offensive threats? Like, you got like 4. And I'm just not willing to sit here and pretend that either of these teams have enough offensive upside to score more than 2 or 3 a game on average. So if we get even like good to average goaltending from both teams, which I think is decently likely, like Calvin Peterson has been like really good too. Like, even though he's 7-11, like, I guess the moral of all of this is, like, I'm not willing to bet on the over under, even though I think that it's fair just because of how bad this offensive upside is for both teams with average to decent goaltending. So I'm not going to bet it. I would bet the Kings to win, and I would look to maybe get some sort of prop, but honestly, this game is pretty much a dud for me overall. I don't know if there's anything that I'm super interested in. I like Raquel's shot prop. Okay. I always kind of do, but other than that, remember when we were Kopitar at 1.5 shot on goal, and like,
that was fun. He was.
I'm pretty sure you like made fun of me because of that, but
probably, I don't know. Oh, I'm not afraid to admit when I was wrong.
Yeah.
So,
but that's LA. Like, they have no one. So, like, Kopitar's like, I guess I got to shoot the puck.
Yeah. If you made me pick one of these player props, I think Iafallo is my favorite guy. You might be able to find a shot prop on him, but he's actually been the highest rate shooter lately for the Kings. Dustin Brown's fallen off just a touch. So the difference, plus 175 for Brown versus plus 275 for Iafallo. I think that makes it a very good value in Iafallo's favor. So that's like my favorite player prop here. But honestly, I think that's about it from this game. So let's talk about a couple of our favorite bets before we do a quick recap of the DFS situation on the ground here.
Yeah, I mean, I like 2 overs a lot. Columbus, Florida one and the Toronto, Vancouver one. I think those 2 overs are 2 of my favorites. There's some good props in there too, as we mentioned, but the overs seem pretty easy here.
Sorry, what was your first one?
The Columbus, Florida.
Columbus, Florida. Okay. Because I thought you were going to go with Carolina, Tampa, and then you didn't say it. And I was like, wait, what? So I will go.
It to you.
I will take, I don't know. I almost want to take the Carolina side more than I want to take the over under, just because
do whatever you want. Your podcast.
Little. I mean, that is true. But
they gave you a platform to take what you wanted, and you're just like, I want to do it, but
here's the thing. I'm just taking all of it. Like, when you're betting, you don't have to just pick one, but when you're doing, a parlay or whatever, you do. So, in my parlay, give me the Carolina side here, plus 100. Just McElhinney's garbage. I think Carolina is playing better hockey than Tampa at this moment in time. So I like them to take home the win here. And then for a second one, let's go for a bit of a long shot. Buffalo keeps it rolling. Plus 235. Dustin freaking Tokarski, Samson Reinhart. What more does a hockey team need, man? Like, what more? What more does a team need in 2021 than Dustin Tokarski backstopping on the victory, showing Taylor Hall where his home should have been?
Wow. Just amazing work by you there. Yeah, I mean, I think you're just right. I mean, that's why I'm mad about it, because I didn't think of it first. But yeah, not going to touch that game very much. It's just nope. Tokarski, what a guy. Sabres, what a team. Anyways, I think, as far as player props, any of these Toronto guys, as far as like Marner, Matthews, even Tavares, they should see an influx of minutes with other guys out, and just more opportunity, I think, to have smash nights and shoot the puck more. So, injuries are terrible. You never really want to see it, but you can use it to your advantage here in some capacity. So I think that's kind of using those. And then in DFS, let's get to DFS. I think we covered enough of our favorite bets there. DFS wise, a favorite stack, I'll just say it then, I already hinted at it. Matthews, Tavares, and Robertson, I think, or maybe even throwing Marner in as well, all four of them. I'm probably going to have it. If Robertson is on the first power play, I still think I'll have it. If we get news like Galchenyuk's on it, then that's going to definitely boost him a lot for me, and that'll probably put him in that 4-man stack as well. But I think Toronto could roll here, get like 7 goals. Vancouver gets the really cool hallmark moment win. It was awesome to see, but I can't imagine they come out and could get it done. If Tyler Murray has to play 30 minutes again, then oof. So, yeah, I like that a lot. The 3-4-man Toronto stack, I'm going to definitely have.
All right. So I will, let's see, I will go a little bit off the board. You like the over in Columbus, Florida. Of course, the Florida side's real nice, but give me Columbus stack of, just top line right now is Roslovic, Atkinson, Bjorkstrand. Sure, why not? Fire it up. They're all, real affordable. Ton of upside between those three. So I think that they are going to be sort of the, if I'm making 10 lineups, I get 20% of them and I'm way over the field. And I do feel pretty good about what I can build along with that stack as well. So
I think I gave you a really, really, really expensive stack. I think if we're going kind of the other way, one narrative, or maybe not narrative exactly, but just like a way of looking at a game, is to look at that Pittsburgh game and think, I really want Pittsburgh. But maybe if they get up early and it's like line 2 that starts the fire, if you will, it could end up being where like the line 2 gets a little bit of a boost in minutes. So, fire me up Carter, Matheson, Zucker.
Like it.
Why did I say, Zucker, right?
I feel like even announcers go back and forth on Zucker, right?
Like
Zucker.
Now I'm like really in my head about that one. Yeah. I think I'm in my head on everything because I just assume I'm gonna get it wrong. But if you take both of the stacks I just said, if you did like Matthews, Tavares, Marner, and then Zucker, Carter, Matheson, actually we'll throw in Robinson. Like you can make that fit. Like that'll fit for sure.
So I will sort of wrap things up by just finishing off the Toronto-Vancouver game stack. The Vancouver side, I just really think Brock Besser is in a great spot. And whenever you can get a minimum salary power play one guy like Jimmy Vesey, who has shown some offensive chops in his career, I'm certainly going to roll with it. So give me those two. You can stack them with either JT Miller and Quinn Hughes, honestly, but one of those two, I think, just makes for perfect, correlation type plays. and getting around the two favorite pieces of this Vancouver side. So, for more DFS, make sure you check out the Morning Skate podcast. We go pretty in depth on each position, talking through some of the decision points and whatever else. So definitely do recommend if you haven't listened yet. You can find that on Twitter at Morning Skate Pod, in addition to our personal feeds here. So DJ, anything else before we get out of here?
Last time out, I said I would cry if no one sent me a Prize Picks, and no one did. So we're gonna run it back. I'm gonna hold my tears in for only one more night. This is the last time, though. I will produce tears this time if I do not see one person tweet Prize Picks at it. And I feel like, and the thing that bothered me is I saw someone that tweeted that they won an NHL one, and I retweeted it, but they didn't add us. And I'm pretty sure they're a listener. I couldn't quote myself on that, but I just want to tell you, you almost made me cry if that was you. Mm-hmm. So don't do that. I don't want to cry. It's Tuesday, and I don't want to cry.
It's not like Taylor Hall's going to score a hat trick against the Sabres or anything to make you cry. So
don't say it out loud.
All right.
I know what's going to happen.
That'll do it. This is going off the rails. So best of luck on Tuesday, everybody. Big thanks to Prize Picks for sponsoring the show as always. Head on over there. Use promo code MMN when you sign up. And best of luck. See ya.